Alright everyone, so for this video you're gonna learn the fundamentals of CSS selectors. I have included an HTML file as a downloadable resource, so make sure to download it. After that, copy everything that's inside that HTML file, open this website try.gsoup.org, and then paste everything in this input HTML text area. Now for instance, we're gonna write all the CSS selectors in this input box. And later on, when we start scraping real websites, we're gonna use Google Chrome, okay? So previously, we learned we can select any HTML element from the HTML web page by its tag name. For example, if you want to select this H1 using a CSS selector, we write H1 as simple as that. However, most of the time, and based on my experience, when we scrape content from websites, we tend to be more specific. Means we always try to be careful regarding tag selection, because if we follow this method by calling tags by their name, high chances there will be other H1s in the HTML web page and you will end up getting more than one H1 tag. For example, if you want to select all the tags that have a class attribute set to intro, like this span for example, and this div, we write period followed by the class name intro. Notice we got the div, this one, and the span. So what to remember, the period means go ahead and select any tag from the HTML web page that has the class attribute set to intro, for example, like in this case. Alternatively, if we want to select tags based on their ID, let's say for example this span with ID set to location, we write the hashtag sign followed by the ID location. Now the difference between classes and IDs is that the class attribute value can be given to one or more tag at the same time. We can have a div with a class attribute set to intro and another span with the same class attribute value, like in our case, and that's perfectly normal. However, IDs belong to one and only one tag in the HTML markup. So if you want to select only the div that has the class attribute set to intro and not the span, we write div period intro, and this time we only get the div, and of course the same rule applies to IDs. Means if you want to get this span with ID set to location, we can write span hashtag sign followed by location, or we can omit the tag name and just leave it like this. Now what if the tag or the element does have two or more classes instead of one, like in this case for example? So we have a paragraph tag with class set to bold and another class set to italic. So if we write for example period bold, we get two paragraph elements because we do have another paragraph that has this class bold too. So to call the other class, which is italic, we add another period and then italic. And this time we get only one paragraph element, which is exactly what we want. Now speaking about attributes, in an HTML we don't always have only classes and IDs. We can have the href attribute for links, like in this case, and we can for example have another type of attributes which are not part of the HTML markup, like in this case we have another attribute called data identifier. So how can we select this list item based on this data identifier attribute value? So as a CSS selector, we start by the tag name, which is li, and then double square brackets. Between them, we write the target attribute name, which is data hyphen identifier equals to number 7. Alternatively, if you want to target any element, means not only the li that has the data identifier equals to 7, we can omit or remove the tag name, which is li in this case, and we still get the same result. Now another example I want to show you is how to use conditions in a CSS selector. Means what if for example we want to get only the A elements, in which the href attribute starts with HTTPS and not HTTP. So in this case we write the target element name, which is A square brackets href, and then you add the caret like this, equals to HTTPS. I missed the T here, so let me add it. Beautiful, like this. So the caret basically means or tells CSS to only select the A element in which the href attribute starts with HTTPS only. Alternatively, if you want, for example, to select the A elements in which the href attribute ends with .fr, in this case we have to change the caret by $sign and the value to fr. Beautiful. Now what if the value we are searching for is not on the beginning nor at the end? Means it's in the middle. In this case we have to replace the $sign by an asterisk like this, and let's change the value to Google, for example. And like this we get the two A elements. So this was a quick demo on how to select elements based on their attributes. Now what I want to show you is how to select elements based on their position. So let's say you want to get all the P's that are inside this div with the class attribute set to intro. So in CSS, if you want to do that, we type div.intro to select the div with the class intro and then space P. And like this, we get both of the P's. However, notice the span that is inside this first P, this span, is not selected. And that's because this span isn't placed within that div. It's considered as a descendant of it. So if for some reasons we want to select it too, we can add, span, #sign, location, or you can remove the span and just leave it like this. Alternatively, if you want to select all the direct children of this div, we can replace the space by > sign, and let's remove this part, and voila, we do get the same output. So this selector is read like this: select all the P elements that are direct children of this div with a class attribute set to intro, okay? Next, let's say we want the P elements that are placed immediately after this div. Means this time we are looking for this particular P only. In this case, we would replace the > sign by the plus sign. And this time we only get the P elements that are placed immediately after this div. Now, if we replace the P by a span, we won't get anything. And that's because the span, this one, is not placed immediately after the div. Now, speaking about the position, let's say from this UL element, we want to get the first li. So in this case, we can target the element by its name, which is li, and then colon, nth-child, and then we specify the position, which is 1. And if you want to get both the first one plus the third li, we add the comma. Let's copy this part, and let's paste it here, and then let's change the position to 3. Now notice I'm selecting only the odd items, means those who are not divisible by 2. So as a shortcut to this, we can delete this part and change the position to odd, like this. So if we want to get the even ones, we type even as a position. I'm gonna hit enter because it didn't refresh. Okay, beautiful, now it's refreshed. So this was everything I wanted to show you in this video. I know, of course, you won't memorize everything in one shot. You have to watch it again and again. And just remember, repetition is the mother of learning. So my advice to you is to rewatch and practice everything again and again until you get familiar with it. And of course, make sure to watch the theoretical video that comes after this one.